challenge under the legislation in my mind, or to my mind, is the same as the one that existed under the previous system, which is that we see a bit of a disconnect between the law on the books and the way it's applied in practice. And I think you can think of a few really big examples of that. For instance, at the moment, the main business model on the internet is that we receive services and content for free at the point of access. So we're not paying anything in order to access certain content or certain services. But this does mean that as a quid pro quo, we provide some of our personal data. And a big undetermined and unresolved question is how much data is it fair for digital content and service providers to claim or to process in exchange for that free service. And as I said, that hasn't been resolved under the current legal framework, but will become, I think, a more pressing matter under the future legal framework. Similarly, you could think of something like big data processing, where the idea is that you get a data set that is large in volume with a wide variety of data sources feeding into it, and where it's possible to process that data at a very high speed, with the idea that you will be able to make some certain predictions based on that data set. That type of processing has emerged alongside the current data protection framework, but seems to be in some ways incompatible with it. For instance, the data protection framework states that we should only process data for specified purposes and not process it for other incompatible purposes. Or we should try and minimize the amount of data that we process. And so you can see that there's a disconnect between the phenomenon on the one hand and the rules on the other. And I think that will continue into the future, but we may see more litigation on the back of that.